Follow-up is one of the most overrated levers in commercial sales and one of the most misunderstood. So almost every sales leader that I talk to believes their team needs to follow up more. The data they show me usually proves something different, but they can't see it because the framing is wrong. So here's the framing that most operators use. Follow-up creates deals. The more disciplined the follow-up cadence, the more deals you close. So when the conversion is soft, the natural instinct is to tighten the cadence, add more touches, extend the sequence, push the team to be more persistent, right? So that framing is incomplete and the incompleteness is expensive. Follow-up is a multiplier. It's not a creator. That distinction matters. If the underlying account is in motion, follow-up compounds, right? Each touch adds context and each call builds familiarity, and the rep stays present until the buying window opens, which is exactly when the deal becomes possible. The cadence is doing real work because there is real motion underneath it. So if the underlying account is not in motion, follow-up only multiplies waste, right? So the rep keeps showing up to a buyer with zero internal pressure to switch. The touches do not compound. They accumulate as friction, and the buyer starts dodging, and the rep loses confidence, right? The CRM fills with non-responsive dispositions that are not really objections, just timing this that the team cannot see. So follow-up does not fix a bad account. It just spends more labor proving that the account was bad. Now, let me show you how this plays out operationally because it's more specific than people realize. A disciplined follow-up cadence on the wrong account still loses. You can have the cleanest CRM in the category, right? The most consistent touch schedule, a perfect 12-touch playbook, and sales managers love watching that team operate, right? But if the underlying account is not in motion, none of it really matters because the buyer has no internal reason to take the call. They're not stalling. They're not playing hard to get. They're just not interested. They are simply not in the window. The discipline is landing on a closed door. So the report shows great activity. The playbook adherence is high and the conversion still drags, right? The sales manager assumes that the cadence needs more refinement when the actual issue is that brilliant cadence applied to bad accounts is just expensive politeness, right? So here's something I want every sales leader watching this to do. When you follow up with an account, what specifically are you following up on? And if the answer is real, you will hear it instantly, right? A vendor evaluation in motion, a conversation about pricing the buyer asked to revisit, an operational change inside the building, a contract cycle approaching, a new decision maker just took over the category. The follow-up is grounded in something. So if the answer is vague, you'll hear that too. Just checking in, just wanted to circle back. Touching base, see if anything changed, right? That's not a follow-up. That's a touch in search of a reason. Now, reps cannot manufacture context. So the account either has motion or it does not. When the rep does not know what they are following up on, that's not a coaching gap. That's an inputs gap. So you fix what is on the account before fixing what the rep is saying about it. And the fix is upstream of the rep. It's in the records. Commercial contract solutions feed your team a live picture of which accounts in your territory have an actual reason to take the call this week. A leadership change, a contract cycle approaching, an operational shift, a service failure at the incumbent, right? The rep is no longer following up on nothing. They're following up on a specific thing that just changed. So we deliver that into the CRM, dialer, or sequencer that your team already runs, refresh every day, and scope to your commercial trade. So if any of this is sounding like your operation, the very next step for you is a commercial growth diagnostic at commercialcontractsolutions.com. We'll look at where your cadence is actually doing work and where it's just absorbing labor. So here's a practical reframing. Follow-up only works downstream of account selection. Pick the right accounts and follow-up compounds. Pick the wrong accounts and follow-up just multiplies the cost of the original mistake. The same cadence applied to a different list produces wildly different results. So when conversion is weak, the instinct to tighten the follow-up cadence usually misses the real issue. The cadence is not the bottleneck. The list underneath the cadence is. Right? So operators who fix the inputs almost never need to overhaul the follow-up motion. The motion they had was fine, right? The accounts were the problem. So you fix the inputs first, and then the follow-up will start doing the work that it was supposed to do all along, right? So if your team is grinding on follow-up and the math is not improving, that conversation is the commercial growth diagnostic. commercialcontractsolutions.com. The team that you have can outperform what you're seeing once the accounts underneath them are right.